the players, first of all, most fans are pro player, right? This notwithstanding. Most fans will stick up for a player if the media picks on him. So if the media gets involved, the fans are always pro player. The media is the most hated entity in this whole equation, right? Yeah. But if the media is not involved, like for instance, if you're just posting social media videos of them having fun, the media is not involved in anything, then the fans will turn on the organization and the players, right?
Yeah, and we saw that earlier this season when Brandon Graham was the one that caused the firestorm over Hurts and AJ. Everyone came into the media. It was like, whoa, we didn't do anything.
Yeah. So in general, fans will be pro player and will defend the player. Conversely, the players rarely take any kind of investment in what fans are feeling. Players are sort of oblivious because they live inside this bubble on how their lack of performance or losing or whatever affects the fan base. They're totally oblivious to that. Do you agree with that?
I do. I do agree with that. You're right. Fans are oblivious. They rarely
take inventory of how fans are feeling about it. They don't understand it because they're at such a lofty perch in their life that they couldn't care less about how a fan is feeling.
Yes, the players sometimes can be oblivious to it. But what bothers me in this situation is this isn't Paul George posting pictures with his wife on vacation. This is coming from the Sixers organization. Like, they're the ones who are posting it. Yeah. And I get it. They want to raise awareness for their youth foundation.
I don't think it's that. I think they have a job to do. The people who run social media accounts for teams don't take inventory like we're taking inventory. They have one job, which is make the organization look good.
And post content.
Right, post content.
Yeah. But I will say, and I've noticed this with the Eagles social media team. The Eagles social media team tends to be very aware of what's going on with their fan base. When everyone was attacking Nick Sirianni after the Cleveland Browns game, when he jawed at the fans and then he had the kids at the podium, you didn't see social media clips that had Nick Sirianni in it for a little while. Like, they're aware of, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't post this guy because he's getting a little bit of hate right now. Where I wonder if they were having a devastating season like the Sixers are on how they would have managed their social media, because Sixers are getting a little bit of heat for what they're posting.
Do you think the Eagles managed that a lot better? Conversely, they really showed out with A.J. Brown in his book, when I believe, and a lot of people believe, that he was making a statement that day with that book.
Yeah, You may think you didn't like what AJ did, but you're right. The way that the Eagles handled it from an organization and from a social media is they made light of it. Like, they invited the author to practice. You know, they started making this thing like they made
ahead of the story.
Exactly. They spun it where everyone now, you got Ray Dunn reading Inner Excellence back there. Like, that's a great job by them on how they spun that thing. Yeah. It's a good social media team.
Right. Have you completed it yet?
No, I'm 2 or 3 chapters in at this point.
Has it improved your life?
We're starting to see steady improvements.
Well, as we talk about social media,
can you describe those steady improvements? Like, what has that done for you?
I was present in the moment for just about everything I've done over the last couple days.
Well, Ray,
what does that mean? You've been present in the moment.
I don't know. He's just taking it a day at a time. But as we talk about social media teams and we talk about Ray reading Inner Excellence, Ray needed it because he was not happy with Dylan, because our social media team posted a clip going after Ray Dunn yesterday, and he blamed Dylan McKinnon for that.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Twitter fingers McKinnon.
Yes. Ray wasn't happy. He didn't have a chance to defend himself.
I've been oblivious to this whole thing. This is inner politics, interstation politics? What happened?
Well, so, Ray, I'll set it up, and then you can answer. So, yesterday on the afternoon show, the question was just about whether the process was a failure. And one of our avid listeners, Dawood, who met us at Rally House, he texted in, taking a shot at Ray, saying that the people who were voting that the process wasn't a failure must have been Ray Dunn's burner account. So, Dawood texted that in, and then Dylan clipped that and posted it to social media, basically saying, Ray, ran away from the argument yesterday. So Ray needed Inner Excellence to calm down because Dylan came in today. Ray wasn't happy with Dylan.
No, but again, I took a nice read of my Inner Excellence, deep breath, and now we're here, ready to go.
Well,
how about Dawood, too, taking a shot at you when you're not even on the
and
air?
then he
Come on,
texted
Dawood.
it in the first 5 minutes of our show. You know you're my guy. Dawood, you've been on my Mount Rushmore of listeners for a long time, and now I'm starting to question whether or not we need to take you off the Mount Rushmore.
You know what's really funny? Because, Ray, I agree with you on the process thing, and we've talked about this before. It's so easy to look back, and because it didn't work like they thought it would work, to take shots at it, that it was a disaster. It was not, at the time, a disastrous idea. At the time, the way you could build your team was to stack up premier players that you could only get in the first couple picks of an NBA draft. Now, when you look at it, they got 3 really high draft picks that could have been foundational for the franchise. They wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise. And that's what Hinkie was thinking.
But I think the key word there that you just said was could. It could have been, which means it didn't work. It didn't work.
All you can do in this world is increase your chances for success. Now, would you not agree that if you got those kind of high picks, you were increasing your chances for success? It's never a guarantee, but wouldn't you rather have the chance to do it?
Yes, but I think those are different arguments. If the question is, was the process a failure? I'm not saying that the idea was a bad idea.
Okay,
I understood the idea, but it was a failure.
But you can't call it a failure.
You absolutely can.
No, if you understood the idea in the first place that it was going to benefit the organization, you can't look back and then say it was a failure and you screwed up. Because at the time, you weren't screwing up. What screwed up was those players screwed you up.
Also,
not your idea of selecting the players.
Yeah, but see, then I think you could make the argument. Let's look at the NFL draft. How many times do we talk about busts in the first round where you would then say, well, at the time, drafting a quarterback was the right idea?
Wait. This is the part of the conversation that gets me, because I checked my phone today. It is 2025. The conversation circles back to Sam Hinkie specifically, and I know the conversation yesterday that they had in the afternoon show circles back to Sam Hinkie specifically. Sam Hinkie, when he resigned as the general manager of this organization, we were still debating whether or not LeBron would win in Cleveland. That's how long it's been. So if you want to start looking at mistakes made along the way of this organization, you talk about those high-level draft picks. Ben Simmons technically isn't his draft pick. Ben Simmons probably would have been the draft pick anyways, ended up being an all-star. Markelle Fultz wasn't the draft pick. Do we know who would have been taken by him in that time? You go back to the process. The process gave you the runway for contention. You talk about 50-win seasons that this organization has had since they won it in '83. There hasn't been a lot of them. There hasn't been a lot of success. You act like this is some black mark on a very successful franchise over the last 40 years. It actually has been what led to the greatest window of contention you've had. You just haven't been able to get past the second round.
Totally, it created the runway for success. Now, the runway turned out to be littered with broken bottles, but you couldn't have predicted that. Bill, it's so fundamental to me. At the time, there wasn't this weighted lottery system at the time. You had to lose to get premier picks. You had to lose. And that's what they did. And they got premier picks out of it.
So, to Ray's point, do you think if Hinkie didn't resign or get forced out, that the Sixers would have made better picks along the way?
I don't know what would have happened. I'm talking about at the time when you're rock bottom, and the only way that you could generate a franchise that can contend is to get primo players. To do that at the time, you had to lose.
I get the thought. But if I would have told you back then, all of this suffering and all of this hell that we're going through is going to result in you never getting out of the second round.
You never look back like that.
But now you have the luxury of looking back.
No, you don't have the luxury. It's not a luxury. It's like a convenient argument. It's not a luxury.
When Hinkie was doing it, was he doing it just to get to the second round? Yeah. No. So you could say it was a failure.
Why are you so blockheaded about
Because
this?
you could say it was a failure. It was a good idea that didn't work. It was a good idea that didn't work.
All right, but you can't call it a failure because you're doing everything in real time. The Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Eagles hire quarterback coach. I'm Ray Dunn with this Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles filled their vacancy on the coaching staff left by Doug Nussmeier's departure to become New Orleans offensive coordinator. The Eagles' new new quarterbacks coach will be Bowling Green's head coach Scott Loeffler, who has spent the last 15 years in college football, including a stop in 2011 as Temple's offensive coordinator. And speaking of college football, NFL Combine underway in Indianapolis, going until Monday. Elsewhere, 76ers hosted their youth gala last night, and Andrew Salciunas and Bill Colarulo broadcasted live from the gala. They spoke with head coach Nick Nurse about just how tough of a season it has been.
It's been really, really difficult. There's been some times where we haven't handled that very well, but that's the message. Got to play better. Got to continue to hope that.
Hope is one strategy for this team. 18 games under 500 and getting back in action tomorrow against the Golden State Warriors. Flyers lost 5-4 to the Penguins in Pittsburgh last night in overtime, unable to get the weak sweep of the Penguins after beating them on Tuesday. Phillies got strong outings from Zach Wheeler, Jose Alvarado, and Jordan Romano yesterday in spring training action. They're back in action today against the Red Sox. Jesus Luzardo on the mound for them today. This update's brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. I'm Ray Dunn on the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos, it's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.